There are new developments this morning in the case of George Smith, a Connecticut newlywed who disappeared in 2005. Until now, it appeared he fell off a cruise ship by accident. But as 48 Hours correspondent Susan Spencer reports, the FBI has evidence now raising the possibility of foul play.
Nearly 7 years after George Smith vanished from his honeymoon cruise in the Aegean Sea, authorities finally may be close to solving the mystery of his disappearance.
This might be the piece of the puzzle that everyone's been missing.
The FBI is in possession of a video made by the 3 men who were with Smith the night he disappeared. Video that is said to show them mocking him and making incriminating statements.
To me, it was amazing that people would actually film themselves in talking about somebody's death in such a fashion.
While much of what happened that night on the Royal Caribbean ship is unclear, here is what we do know. Early on the morning of July 5th, 2005, George Smith was partying and drinking heavily with his new bride, Jennifer. The couple got into an argument, and she stormed off. She was found hours later, passed out in a hallway in another part of the ship. Around 3:30 a.m., 3 vacationing Russian-American students who'd been partying with Smith helped him back to his cabin. The 3, later dubbed in the press as the Russians, always have maintained they put Smith to bed and then left. Shortly after 4 a.m., other passengers reported hearing a commotion in Smith's room. And then about 30 minutes later, around 4:30, there was a loud thud. And in the morning, there was this, a large blood stain on the metal lifeboat canopy, about 20 feet below Smith's cabin.
I believe it was a botched robbery that got out of hand, and my son was murdered on that cruise ship.
In a videotape earlier obtained by CBS News, the Russians insisted to Turkish police that Smith was still alive when they left his room.
I closed the door, we never saw him. Never saw him again. He said the story. That was it.
But the new developments cast doubt on their story. And Smith's family is hoping finally justice may be served.
We want to see arrests, we want to see indictments, we want to see convictions.
For CBS This Morning, Susan Spencer, Washington.
With us now, senior correspondent John Miller, former FBI assistant director. John, good morning.
Good morning, Charlie.
So what do you make of this case now with the new evidence?
Well, it's not new evidence. This tape has been in the FBI's possession since fairly early on in the case. I think what we're seeing here, though, is a family that has hired a lawyer that is pushing this story forward to keep the pressure on, the prosecutor, and to keep the pressure on the investigators to do something. So you have this front page magazine article where the lawyer is discussing this new tape. So what's on the tape that's incriminating? And that is, I mean, you saw a clip of the tape of that interrogation. This is the day after that police interrogation. And by the way, I mean, this is out of the manual of how not to conduct a murder investigation. You don't gather all the suspects together with their parents and then go around and you separate everybody and get their stories. But on that tape, the next day, they're sitting around a round table like this one at breakfast in the dining room, and they're kind of passing the camera around. And, you know, they're laughing about the case, they're mocking the victim, George. And they get to one individual, one of the Russians, who says, "We gave that guy a paragliding lesson without a parachute." And they all laugh, and it keeps on going. And that is the incriminating statement that the lawyer cryptically refers to in this article.
So then he is taking that statement and saying they basically admit they threw him over the railing?
Well, the statement is what it is. They don't say we threw him over the railing, but it certainly implies that we gave him a paragliding lesson without a parachute. It certainly implies that, and it is at least an incriminating statement.
There's some talk, too, though, of the relationship that all of these guys had. The victim and these other men, they'd been out partying all night. Is there any thinking that there was some foul play in that partying? Could anything have been slipped into a drink?
That's entirely possible, but you know, as we keep circling around to in these stories, we talk about, so what's the motive?
Yeah.
I mean, why do you drug a guy so you can throw him over the boat? And the investigative theory has been that George Smith allegedly told, and this is according to the debriefings of the men by investigators, allegedly told them that he had $15,000 or $50,000. It was hard to tell because everybody was intoxicated and and even the person in this debriefing who admitted this said that they believe there was a large amount of money in the room. So the investigative theory would be that they took him back to the room, put him to bed, and then all of what the witnesses said about moving furniture around, this was them tossing the room looking for money. But nobody's ever admitted to that, and there's no camera in that room to make that happen. So you have the statement of one person who says, we understood there was money in the room, but I wasn't in there at that point.
Can I ask you yes or no? Do we know if there was actually money in the room based on what the wife had to say?
I don't know.
Okay.
John Miller, thank you.